Okay, it looks like we are live. Today's Thursday. No, sorry, that's a good start. Today's Monday. The 3rd of January. It's around about 8 o'clock. Just past 8. I'm not quite sure why I've left the material there. Okay, excuse me. I'd like to apologise for those people who listened to my last broadcast. It was an important broadcast. I think you should listen to it. Error as well. I am like your Bible in that many people misunderstand the Bible. They think it must be word perfect at all times. And it's just a reflection of life and the human condition. Today being Monday the 3rd, yesterday, a young chap was shot on the streets of London. An alleged terrorist attack. He was stabbing people. And the police shot the man dead. Okay? I've not bothered to look at the videos or to even chase it down or to even listen to the conspiracy theories, if there are any. My job is to educate, and to the best of my ability, that's what I believe my journey duty is. So, this video, I'm going to try to do what I tried to do last time, but I missed chunks out. And I need to go back in time. And if you're a Muslim, for God's sake, listen up and learn. Stop with your arrogance. Really and truly, you really need a slap. And I mean that proverbially, because I see what's going on. And I'm having a go at the Muslims at the moment, because I watch these videos on YouTube, Hyde Park discussions, and all of these Muslims are beating down on Christianity, and they just don't know that they're being played. They're not going to win it, although they do pretty well at Hyde Park. But you've got to be outside to see exactly what's going on. And therefore, once you're outside and you can see the big panorama, the big picture, the big player, you know exactly what's going on. And so that may be for a different issue. But if I take time back, oh, my notes, oh, darn, I've left them inside. Oh, okay, let's try and see if we can do this and not have to stop. So, we are talking about a new baby. That new baby is United Kingdom, okay? In order to understand where we are politically and where we are in the high science realms and what's taking place, and to understand that maybe what I'm saying about... What did I just knock over? What I'm saying about you not knowing you. You think you know you think you know what you're talking about, you think you thought the thoughts that you're thinking right now. Like, the cards you're dealt, and you playing your life out with those cards. And therefore, because the card says the 8 of spades, you are an 8 of spades, I'm going to play like an 8 of spades, or maybe not a shiny new one, but it's going to be a wrinkled 8 of spades or a torn 8 of spades, right? Be that as it may. But new knowledge, I'm going to say new knowledge, I'm not talking about anything. With the revelation that you got marked cards, with the revelation that I dealt you that deck, and I dealt you from below I know exactly what you got, and I played them to you, knowing full well you're going to play that hand out and lose, and always lose, and always lose, and always lose. With that knowledge, what would you say? Because you're convinced you've got 3 8s in your hand, and 3 8s beats my 3 5, but I got 3 9s, and I'm always going to give you 3 kings out. That's 3 aces, 4 aces in some cases. So what am I talking about? You have to understand that, first of all, get this into your head. The world in which we live is not billions of years old. There's no evidence for that either. Okay? It's not billions of years old. Fact, it's not even a million years old. I would argue it's not even a million years old and way under that still. And how do I know? Well, it's obvious. It is obvious. But I'll leave the obvious because a lot of that is going to be like, oh, how come I never saw that? Because you've been blind spotted. And it's easy to be blind spotted with high science. So what I'm going to do is go back to, lick my finger, put it in the air. That tells me what's going down today and might tell me what's coming down in the future. But if I did that, lick it and put it in the past, I kind of know where I am today and where I'm going. It's a different thing by wishing and hoping. It looks like, it feels like, no. So what's big in the news back in the day? Well, in the West, you have to understand that there was no capitalist system, okay? What was the powerhouse was the great Roman Universal Church, by way of Rome conquering lands afar and near to wherever it was. Everybody else was a Vandal, a Visigoth, most, barbarians, and so forth. That came to its end. Came to its end from within. This is a useful book to read. I've actually not read this one, but I've read books like it. I just like this one because it's short and pithy, and the ones I've got are a bit bigger, but they grip you same way. This one's called A History of Central Banking and the Enslavement of Mankind. Okay, it's by a guy named Stephen Mitford Goodson. Okay, Stephen Mitford Goodford, and he's got some notable figures on the face of the book. A History of Central Banking and the Enslavement of Mankind. So with that I said, I'll move that over there. So we're talking about a powerhouse that controls the thought process of the intellectual class, if you will. And it's Roman Universal, it's Catholic, and it has no rival. And the popes are waxing lyrical, and they're greedy, and they're corrupt, and they cannot withstand the world. The pillars of what they built their faith from they've got rotten foundations anyway. They're not cleaving to the truth. It's like, where does he live? He lives over there somewhere. That's not exactly giving you a postcode and a name and address and so forth. It's over there somewhere. That's kind of like what Catholicism is. It's a meandering away down there somewhere. But along the way, the wolf is there. Everybody's out there to get their share, and you can sit down there and start playing dominoes by the tree and don't get to your destination. All the temptations are on that journey. Rather than say, bear left, vest, go straight, 100 yards, sat-nav gets you there. So Roman Universal is the dominant force of the day. And you've all heard about the Crusades and so forth. They want to spread. Quite often for money. They hear tell of riches, they hear tell of the Golden Cross, they hear tell of such and such. And they get the kings and queens of Europe quite riled up, and they all go marching over there in their armour, and they fight Saladin to a standstill. However, the human spirit, being as it's young, can tire of this. The intellectual class can tire of this, and because it's church-led, it's within the church. There becomes ructions. Now, I can't remember the first monk, and I wrote it, in my essay I've written him down. Because I think every one of those names who paved the way to where we are, that we have an enlightenment and an understanding, and I call this a second enlightenment, I think you better know. You've got to do your research. Don't let the lefty say, forget about it. You know what I mean? Oh, it's a statue. Let's get rid of the statue, which is burying the past. If you bury the past and take down everything, in 50 years' time, when your bones are smouldering in the grave or mouldering in the grave, your kids are going to realise that this was a utopia. It was always good. There never was any bad, because there was no evidence for it. Because your progeny's parents, us, were too stupid to allow the lefties to say, erase everything. Burn the books, in other words. So, within the church, you've got monks. I think there's a Polish guy, I can't remember his name. But they started to question certain things that the Pope's doing, certain practices. And this is, stamped out. What summoned that boy? What did you say? Well, you're right, Eminence. The scripture says, and we seem to be, burn him at the stake. Burn him at the stake, man. And that's how it was. Bully boy. So, to my shame, I can't remember his name. The second person who is notable was a guy named, he was a Czechoslovakian monk, and his name was Jan Hus. Jan Hus, Huss, I believe it could be Hus. Jan Hus. I mention his name because he came with his powerful argument and did the same. And in the 14th century, no, 15th century, 1400s. Pardon? Oh, yeah, you know what? That's interesting. Come up here. Seize him, burn him at the stake. That's what happened. And the reason why we know of it is an outrage. Because where he comes from a people that are adhering to what he's saying. And it's making sense. Right? So when you take a leader, a revolutionary leader out, don't think the movement doesn't, you know what I mean? People say, well, isn't that what what's name was talking about? Well, what is it he was talking about? We even mentioned, but that sounds logical to me. That's word of mouth. That's where your high science comes in. Your first high science. It's kind of like logic. It's what God gives you, discernment. You start to say, do you know what? That does make sense because Earth and is all burned up. Earth and is all burned up. And if I put my hand in that fire, kind of like get close to it, look, it's hot in it. I don't want to get it burned up. I like my fingers the way they are. So, you get what I'm saying? It's just, as Aristotle says in the Politics, a man desires to know. And to know is to be forewarned about such and such. I mean, God created man to understand flora, fauna in the habitat that he is and have dominance over it. We shouldn't be ashamed about that. It is a man's job to do. So, fast forward to the early 16th century, 1500s. I should have his book. I've got his book. I should have his book. And we've got Martin Luther. Martin Luther's gone through it. He's really trying. I've got a couple of documentaries. There's a couple of films made of him. Very interesting. But he really tried hard to be as close to the scripture and to what God believed and said, and Jesus said. And he was torn. This guy was really racked with it because he didn't want to go up against. But when you have a calling, you just got to do what you got to do. So he's, been given a trip to go to Rome. That might, dip yourself in the waters to cure you of your thoughts. You know what I mean? Whatever the case may be. But he goes to Rome and it's a whorehouse. It's akin to going to Wembley. Everybody's ticket touting. Selling. Everybody's selling. Selling on the steps of the freaking Vatican, the lot. If you want a prostitute, you get a massage. Get your massage here. Pum pum, boys. Pum pum. It's like, what is this? You know what I mean? Place your bets. Roll up, place your bets. This is right on the doorstep of, do you know what I mean? He's horrified. He's like, what? Oh. You know what I mean? This can't be. You've got the living sin around. You're not doing nothing about it. So, the Pope wants to build a chapel to rival, I think it's Hagia Sophia, whatever the case may be. He's got this grandiose idea. Any money. Popes like money. And so, he sends out a guy named John Tetzel. John Tetzel, among many, the most famous, was a man who sold indulgences. Indulgences was a certificate that says yours can be absolved of sin in the afterlife. They're not going to burn in hell. They're not burning in hell. Just pay me, and you get this nice scroll. Roll up. And it was pretty much a Barnum and Bailey, fireside sale. He'll come along with his camper band, his entourage, and he'll come to your local town, and he'll be selling them. A once-in-a-lifetime deal, right? This is serious. You must understand what was going on in Rome, right? And what Roman Universal means, okay? I'm not going to talk about the 322 or 325 Nicaea or nothing like that, right? We're going into the lived reality, the history that we know, right? I'm not saying that's not history. I'm going to specific relevance and your enlightenment and the opening of your eyes. You know, the comforting of yourself. You be comfortable in knowledge. And that, I believe, what Jesus called a comforter. He's the one that's going to come before your time. I tell you something you did not know. You are surprised and comforted. I didn't know that. And you feel within yourself spiritually nice, comfortable. Right? Depends on who you are. If you're arrogant and so forth, you might feel a bit embarrassed. But to be quite honest, you'll flip it up there, and you'll say, you know what? And you know when you get that, you know what? That's usually saying, I'm glad I got that. It's kind of a comfort to know. Didn't like the way you went about it, but comfort to know. Be that as it may, you don't have to like my personality. Okay. And this is something black people have got to get over. Stop looking for cult of personalities. Oh, I like him. I like his kente. Don't do it. All right? Stop it. If you just like what I do, fine. Right? So anyway, he's come back. He's disillusioned. He's gone into the scripture deeper, and he said, I'm tearing the crap out of this. And I'm going to write down all the things I find so wrong with the scripture as it is, as Rome has it. So he writes what they call a 95 thesis, bits of paper, if you will, points of order. And he sticks them up on the Wittenberg church door, his church. This is in Germany. And his patron, I think, is Frederick. I don't know if it's Frederick the First or Frederick the Great or whatever it is, but I believe it's a guy named Frederick. Now, Frederick's pretty rich himself. You know, he has his own principality, powerful. You know what I mean? And you know, he pays his tithes to Rome. You know, Rome don't bother him. You know what I mean? But he runs his own turf. You know what I mean? And as long as you keep the boys, the mafia happy, then they ain't gonna bother him. But in his realm, he's got Martin Luther, and Martin Luther's upsetting the Pope because word's out. John Tetzel can't make any money. Roll up. What are people in there? What do you mean? Martin, that bomber, what a blood fire in there. You know what I mean? This guy's pissing me. I can't bring no, where's my sacks of gold? John Tetzel's going back and the Pope is like, what's you spending my money? You spending my money? You know what I mean? Hey, I'll, why are you? You know, but he say, no, it's not me, you know. Who's Martin Luther? Wear him there. Frederick, I am region that. Oh, me know. Me know the Frederick fella. Yeah, my big boss over this one. I make a talk to him, right? But Frederick investigates Martin Luther, and he's a little crafty guy himself, because at the end of the day, you do you, I do me. He's got his library, he's got his university, he's got his artifacts, and he loves that stuff. He just loves the controversy. And he likes Martin Luther because Martin Luther, he finds, well, I don't see that you're wrong. And so therefore, under here, them can't get you. Don't go to Rome. Them can't get you. You know what I mean? You stay here. And let them, you know what I mean? Because them can't send no army. Not here. You know what I mean? So, getting pissed off. And so something happens, and it happens quite often. We do have a creator. I think he does intercede from time to time, but it's not at my time. It's not at your time. It's against our ego. Our ego will say, right now, right this minute, our ego will say, like yesterday, mate, what took you so, arrogance of it, what took you so long? It's like, if babies could talk, you know what I mean? Imagine the baby come out and say, that's enough. I've been telling you about them sausages you've been eating. You don't see me kicking up your belly. Blood, fire, wipe my butt in that. You'd be like, oh Lord, you know what I mean? What is this? Who are you? You didn't create yourself. What did you? You done nothing. You just shit up. Anyway, right? So it's just the attitude that we have. And it's childish, right? But we do have a creator. And every now and again, I believe he intercedes. It's usually when you least expect it. Anyway, he interceded at the time. And there is a thing called the press, the printing press, the Gutenberg press. I think it starts basically off a model from the East, but it's been created in the West. And it's like, as I put in my essay, it's the internet of the day. Now, one piece of paper, rather than it be passed over on horseback and in a scroll and all that, and it has to be copied down word for word and passed on from word to mouth and so forth, you can actually just reel them off, right? In Jan Hus's day, no. And in the other fella's day, no. But this you could reel off. So you say something today, You know what I mean? If you think of a newspaper, I don't know which is the rags, the Esquire magazine or whatever. You know what I mean? Whatever glad rag that's out there printing out the full stories or whatever, or true stories, you get it out quick. This is what's upset the Pope. This is what all of a sudden hits John Tetzel. It's just all of a sudden. I went down there, I used to bring back the money, but I come down there, there is no money to bring back. So all that to say this. I could go in and give you more detail and more detail and more detail. What I'm trying to say is that as a result of this friction between Rome and the Pope not being able to get hold of Martin and putting him on and killing it, which is what they usually do, he lives. But we now have a split within the church. We have Roman Catholicism. It's got its own stomping ground. It's got its own areas where it controls. It's also got its ships seeking out the new land. Okay? And then you've got pretty much what you got now. You've got the United Kingdom, Henry VIII. He's one for the new way of thinking. He doesn't really want to deal with Rome. You know what I mean? You be you, we be we, right? And if you don't want to read the book, I want to read the book, and I want my people to read the book. Because in Roman Catholicism, you're not supposed to really have the Bible yourself. You know what I mean? You go behind the guy, and he's up there, and he reaches down to you and tells you what's in the book. Whereas it's your soul, it's your jihad, your journey, your wilderness, it's your moment, it's your book. Discover for self. Okay? I'm sorry if you don't believe it. I'm sorry if you think it's all some white guy made it. I do apologize, but I do understand. I do understand. And if you believe there are errors in the Bible, there is a book out there called Errors in the Bible. And I can't remember how, somebody's gone into it, right? And explained them all. Okay? That's a lie. Like, you know what the book is called, and you know who wrote the book, and you've read the book yourself, and you've actually cross-referenced it all yourself. If you want to say that, say that. This is not the place for you, right? I'm an academic. I'm dealing with what really is, what isn't, and with the knowledge that what is, we can better position ourselves against anybody. Who God bless, no man curse. The truth will make you free. I take that from the Creator's Son, okay? And so therefore, so what does freedom of speech do? Because that's the first part of freedom of speech, was the Reformation. I can say something against the authority, I can write it down, and I am not going to get hunted down for this. We can discuss it. When you can discuss that, then you can discuss whether we live in a heliocentric or a geocentric world. And we must know that science was stymied as well, because when Copernicus was saying that the sun goes around the earth, they said, pardon? Beg your pardon? Hey, look, never look a place. Come here, right? So much for Copernicus. Galileo Galilei. Pope, you know me, right? Hey, you know me, we tell him spaghetti, you know. You know? Antipasta. And they said, come here. And he's like, oh, come on, man. Don't come here. And they say, listen, with all the spaghetti and the marinara sauce, we understand you like kind of food. If we know you like your food, we're going to do something for you. By tonight, boy, you better change your mind. By tonight, boy, tonight, boy, you better change your mind. Okay, Galileo recanted. But it goes down in history that the old horse's head in the bed routine, he recanted. A bit like Martin Luther had to do as well. That's a different story. Detail. It's a really interesting story. And it embroiders a big tapestry that would really waken you up. But this is enough. But so he kind of recanted. But we all know, it goes down in history that, you know, he was of the Galileo. Have I got that right? Have I got my Copernicus and... Anyway, Galileo Galilei pretty much was saying, no. You know, we're not the centre of the universe. So now we're talking about 15th and 16th century, where most people, public intellectual people, what's a public intellectual? A person that actually considers geopolitical matters, social matters, all matters pertaining to life and has an opinion on it, or a philosophy on it, a direction of where we are, what is the meaning of life, and so forth, and is willing to put his mouth to print. A lot of these Pan-Africans that you hear, especially in the UK, mouth, 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 mouth. None of them got an education, and none of them could put it to print, right? Because they don't want to be, I didn't say that, I didn't say, then they want to fight, right? You know, the old James Bond, when you're wrong, chop them in the neck, you know what I mean? Get rid of the evidence, you know what I mean? James Bond for you, co-intel we call that, co-intel. Anyway, so I don't engage with these people, you know what I mean? And I don't intend to. If you're not educated enough, then you just ain't. But I'm giving you the opportunity. So we're entering a period where you've got public intellectuals, we've got science now blossoming. It's free. And when you have freedom of speech, you get creators, you get inventors, you get a dirge of philosophers. Not to say that you didn't have philosophers in ancient Greece. Aristotle, I've got several of his works. And some of his works, Nicomachean Ethics, I call it Nicomachean Ethics, but it's Nicomachean Ethics, is a great work. Stands true today. And you think about when he wrote it, stands true today. Well argued. Hard to beat. I don't know that you can. What's true is true, basically. And that's universal. So we're talking about people like John Locke. You're talking about people like Voltaire, quite a funny guy. Feared, didn't care about the new authority and what they had to say. He kicked down anything and wrote about everything. And he had to flee for his life. So did John Locke. John Locke had to flee England and went to Holland because there was a lot of religious, still people got feelings in it, you know what I mean? People feeling, well, shut him up, you know what I mean? If he say he can talk, if he say he can talk, you know what I mean? So they want to shut him up, so, they run him out. Voltaire was saying he had to flee France and so forth. You've got Immanuel Kant, you've got Descartes, I am, therefore I am, I exist, therefore I am, and so forth. You got a lot of people thinking and writing. And one of the guys who, although ended up in disgrace for the standards that they were, was a great brain, and that's Sir Francis Bacon. This is his book, Novum Organum. Novum Organum. And I would call that new thinking, new expression, okay? And what he was actually concerned with, because this is the person, Sir Francis Bacon, who is credited as inventing the scientific method, okay? That means it's science, qualifies as science, if you can observe it. You can test it and repeat it, okay? Therefore, it goes down as science, and some science are wow at the moment, and then they become passe, and we understand that, you know what I mean? Which is what you call priori, a priori. Priori is humans have 2 legs and 2 arms. Priori, you're born with 2 hands and 2 arms. Someone will say, well, not everybody. The human being is born with 2 legs, 2 arms. Priori, we know that. And orange is what colour? Orange. Well, not in every... Do you know what I mean? You're always going to get an arsehole, and there's always going to be an exception. But generally speaking, an elephant is grey. Well, there's one with pink blotches. Can someone get that idiot out of class? Him. Kick him up, him, right? Anyway, what I was saying, they have big ears, but no, they breathe. How about that? They take in oxygen and give out carbon dioxide. Shut up. You carry it. Okay? Created by the... Right, yes. Shut your mouth at the back. So anyway, he's written this book, and he says something in this book on... he says quite a few things in this book. Now, you've got to understand... Well, you don't have to understand it. Oh, see, I've dug in a page or 2. This is Old English, and sometimes, if it's Old English, you have to interpret what he's actually saying. Maybe some words and phrases are not familiar. So it's a job to read, you know what I mean? But he does say something that I would like to read. And I don't want to spend too much time going through too much detail. I'm trying to paint a broader picture that you can understand. But he says some real things in here, man. And I've actually used these things. And the beginning of the page